As the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns continue to build back towards being a Sun Belt contender, 2023 could be a breakout year for this team. You got a lot of very nice returning pieces to this team, and yes, they're in certain position groupings. There's a lot of talent gone and a lot of depth that is going to have to show up for this team this year, and the schedule has its bumps and bruises. But overall, when I look at this team top to bottom, I see a team that potentially could emerge in the Sun Belt Conference this year. So, will the Ragin' Cajuns be a sleeper among the teams in the Fun Belt this year? Or is this going to be a team that underperforms and maybe needs a couple more years of building to really become a Sun Belt contender yet again? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel, previewing predicting all 133 FBS level college football teams this summer. Guys, it means I'm doing your favorite teams, so hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when that video gets uploaded. But there are more ways than that. You can help me support my channel. You're doing one right now by watching the video. You can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, and anything else that you guys are willing and able to do to help me support my channel, because whatever you guys do help impact me, the community. I've appreciated all of the support that has gone on this summer. Let's continue to grow that as we reach the college football season. We're only about a month away from it, so predictions are going to be wrapping up fast here. The Sun Belt is almost done, but we got to talk about Louisiana today. How do we do things around here, Ragin' Cajun fans? If you haven't been on one of my videos before, we go through a roster overview and look at who the team lost, who's coming back, and who's coming in through the transfer portal and recruiting class, as well as taking a look at the 2023 Ragin' Cajun football schedule, and we'll give it a game-by-game preview and prediction. So, without further ado, let's talk about the Ragin' Cajuns here in 2023. One of the cooler nicknames amongst the teams in college football. Taking a look at the quarterback room. Very, very important position, the most important position on the field, some might say. You got two experienced options coming back, and honestly, for me, flip a coin as to who gets the starting job this year. Ragin' Cajun fans, if you can provide a better answer, please put it in the comment section down below. But I'm going to read these stat lines from last year, and they are very comparable, and there's not a lot of wiggle room between them at all. Ben Wooldridge was the leading passer last year in 244 attempts, had 1,661 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 picks on 56% completion percentage. Chandler Fields, second leading passer on 182 attempts, 1,123 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. So again, yes, Fields, while he did have some less experience, if you'll call it, less playing time last season, less pass attempts, this is definitely a quarterback battle that for me is up in the air. Now maybe it's a lot more answered than my research would intend, but it wouldn't surprise me to see both of them get some equal amounts of playing time last year, like what we saw or this year, I should say, like what we saw last year in 2022. Could be another two-quarterback system here in 2023. When you look at the running back room, Chris Smith is going to be gone. He was your leading rusher last year, 126 yards, 626 carries. I'm all over the place right now. 627 yards and 3 touchdowns from last season. However, there could be a breakout star in the Sun Belt Conference on this roster. It comes in the running back room, and it comes in Draylon Washington. Only 64 carries last year, but in those 64 carries, averaged 5.5 yards per carry, which, if you're not a math nerd, that equates to 350 yards and 2 touchdowns tacked on there from last season. Terrence Williams is coming back, second leading rusher last year. Figures to play the backup role, but can step into the primary role if need be. When you look at the wide receiver room, your leading receiver there is gone as well. Michael Jefferson, 810 yards, 7 touchdowns is gone. You're also going to lose guys like John Stevens, and then Dante Fleming and Errol Rogers are going to be gone through the transfer portal. However, there were a lot of guys that hit over 100 yards on this team last year, and a couple of them really could explode. And with all of that depth leaving the wide receiver room, it may be a more top-heavy room at Louisiana this year. Jacob Bernard, Peter LeBlanc, and Lance Legendre, if I'm pronouncing that last name wrong, I apologize sincerely. All of those guys are going to be coming back. All of those guys had at least 150 receiving yards last season. And a touchdown as well from last season. So all these guys have been in the end zone. They've caught passes, and they've done it well. They're going to have to do it at a higher rate for the Ragin' Cajuns this year. Tight end room, Johnny Lumpkin, going to be gone, 143 yards, 4 touchdowns for him last year. But your featured tight end, Neil Johnson, will come back, as well as Pierce Midgel. And again, apologies if I said that last name wrong at all. When you take a look at the offensive line, David Hudson is gone, but A.J. Gill, Jax Harrington, Nathan Thomas, and Carlos Rubio all return to the offensive line. This is this is an offense that maybe if it can find consistency at the quarterback position and some of these wide receivers step up, that can be pretty good here in 2023. But when you take a look at the defensive side, yikes, there's a lot of names leaving this defense here as well. So a lot of depth on defense is going to need to step up. Let's talk about some of it here. On the defensive line, Andre Jones, really good player, is going to be gone. Now, I know Ragin Cajun fans may say he was more of a linebacker player. He played both. He was an edge rusher type player. You can slot him at D-line linebacker when he got drafted into the NFL. I think they drafted him as a defensive end. That's why he's on the defensive line list here. But nonetheless, 48 tackles, which was 6th on the team, 6.5 sacks. Really good player. And then Zion Hill-Green, also going to be gone as well. Among true defensive linemen, he was your leading tackler there. 46 tackles, 7 sacks, which did lead the team, again, slightly ahead of Andre Jones. And then when you take a look at who is coming back, well, Sonny Hazard will come back, as well as Jordan Lawson and Mason Narcisse. And apologies if I said that last name wrong. Again, I apologize for any mispronunciations, but those are all very experienced options, guys that are able to get it into the backfield, guys that can generate some sacks, guys that can generate some pressure, and then you do get a transfer coming in Kadarius Miller as well. So some pretty solid players on that D-line for the Ragin' Cajuns this year. In the linebacking room, well, your leading tackler in Jordan Quibido is gone, as well as Chris Moncrief and A.J. Riley as well. Moncrief was your 3rd leading tackler last year, so those are 2 pretty important losses, but Casey Osai, Jasper Williams, and Cameron Whitfield should be highlighting that linebacking room for the Ragin' Cajuns this year. And in the secondary, do you lose a lot of talent here? Braylon Trahan was your 2nd leading tackler, led the team with 4 picks, had 3 pass defended as well. He is gone. Eric Garrer is also going to be gone. 6 pass defended, 2 picks for him last season. Trey Amos is off to Alabama. 8 pass defended, led the team last year. And then Cameron Pettisclo was your 4th leading tackler, had 6 pass defended, 72 tackles. A lot of experience, a lot of great players lead the secondary. Who does come back, though? That's Tyrone Lewis, Tyree Skipper, Cortland Flowers, and Kian Martin. All of them expected to be starters in the secondary this year. Your head coach is Michael DeSormo. Apologies, I just hit my mic. Offensive coordinator Tim Legger. Defensive coordinator Lamar Morgan. As we take a look at the Ragin' Cajun football schedule for 2023, hey, any game you see underlined will be a home game, and any game in italics or that slanted text will be on the road. Any game you see in green is a game I think the Ragin' Cajuns, I should say, are going to win easily. Any game in yellow is going to be back and forth, 50-50 game, but hey, I still think Louisiana is going to be able to win, and then red is a loss. So, do you think you're going to be able to start out with an easy win there at home against the Northwestern State Devils, I do believe is their nickname. Not too familiar with what kind of football players they have there. All I do know, it's an FCS level program. I think Louisiana could be a very talented program at the FBS level, and that's a game I should be able, or that Louisiana there should be able to win. Then when you go on the road, you get a Sunbelt opponent earlier, and I think it's going to cost you. And I've said this for a long time. I do think Old Dominion is going to be a very, very sneaky team in the Sunbelt Conference this year. I think they can contend, well, not necessarily contend, but I think that they can keep a lot of games close this year. Now, will it lead to a lot of wins? Maybe not, but the only reason it wouldn't, there's a lot of talent leaving that team through the transfer portal. However, there are some really key players on defense coming back that I think are going to be able to stop this Ragin' Cajun offense. And I think Old Dominion pulls off what some Sunbelt fans may consider an upset here on the road. It's an early conference game, and I think the home team prevails here. I do think Old Dominion going to be able to get Louisiana some defensive prowess, steps up, and stops the Ragin' Cajuns. And that's exactly what I think UAB will do to Louisiana as well. Now, I know I have been on record, and I still believe it, that Trent Dilfer is just a head coaching hire. I am not buying yet. Again, very inexperienced head coach at the collegiate level, very inexperienced coaching staff, period, at the collegiate level, and I easily could see BYU struggling this year. However, just knowing that program, I think there are also too many players on that team that play too good a brand of football for that team to not be competitive this year, for that team to not be a team to really watch out for. They've been really good ever since reinstating their football program. They'll be solid this year, and they have enough defensive intensity and pieces to be able to stop Louisiana. So that's your second straight loss for the Ragin' Cajuns. But this game right here, this game against Buffalo is very much a group of five hinge game. Again, Buffalo and Louisiana, maybe two teams that are riding that bowl game threshold, right? Those are two teams that, could make a bowl game, could not make a bowl game. They're like right on a bowl game bubble team line. Do they get to 500 or do they not? And I think the home team is going to prevail here. Buffalo does lose some pieces that made them a little bit of a surprise in the Mid-American Conference last year, and while I still think that's going to be a pretty solid team over there, I think Louisiana is going to have a little bit more in the tank. It's the first time I believe these two teams are meeting on the football field, but I think Louisiana not going to let the defense stop it 3 weeks in a row. I do think that the offense gets moving here, and the defense can make some plays, especially in the secondary. I think the Ragin' Cajuns pull off a win there. You're not going to beat Minnesota on the road. Sorry to all my Ragin' Cajun fans out there. That's a team I really like out of the Big Ten Conference this season. You are not going to beat Minnesota, although there are some things that are starting to swirl above the program. So maybe you go on the road and get it a win there. But as far as the players on that roster, very confident in what PJ Fleck has. And then Texas State is up here next, and that should be a win for you as well. Although, do not count out the Bobcats this year. I have a sneaky feeling that that team is going to win a game or two that they necessarily shouldn't. Could be this one right here against the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns. That's a team that adds some pretty solid talent that through the portal. And Louisiana has got to watch out, because that is going to be a game right there that could trip this Ragin' Cajun team up. However, I do see them as having the better roster, do see them winning that game. So you're through the first half of the schedule, 3-3. All you got to do is go 3-3 in the second half. But again, there are some really tough games, and it starts out with Georgia State. I know this team was not that great last season, but they got a lot of nice returning pieces back. Even though a lot of key contributors are gone, a lot of that depth returns to that team this season. They loaded up on Power 5 transfers, especially within that defense, and that is a Georgia State team right there that I could easily see getting back to a bowl game this year. They're going to make life difficult for anyone that they play. It's just how that program is in general, and I think that they are going to go on the road here and beat the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns, dropping the Cajuns to under 500, and they will stay under 500 on the road against South Alabama. Yikes, that's just a tough draw there, an inter-divisional game, but you have to go on the road to play what I think is the best team in the Sun Belt Conference this year. Carter Bradley returns at quarterback. There's a lot of very nice weapons offensively. That defense is loaded back up as well. They're my favorite to win the Sun Belt Conference as of right now. I do think that is the best team in this conference. They have a lot of returning pieces that made them so good last season. That team is going to be hungry for a Sun Belt title. Louisiana is going to be losing that game. And then, you got to win 3 out of your last 4 here, but good news for the Ragin' Cajuns, that's very doable. I do not think Arkansas State is going to be a very good team this year, and while the Red Wolves may be competitive in games like this, I definitely think that the Ragin' Cajuns is going to be able to pull this one out fairly comfortably. I know the game is highlighted in yellow, but a fairly comfortable win right there. This is the swing game, though, right? The Thursday game against Southern Miss. This is the game right here that may very well decide whether or not you go to a bowl game, and I know I said that about Buffalo and non-conference, but this is going to be a very competitive, very tough game. Southern Miss is returning a lot of very good pieces on both sides of the football. However, I just feel like Louisiana is going to perform a little bit better this season. I feel like Southern Miss is going to struggle a little bit this year, and again, their non-conference slate doesn't help with that. They have a very difficult non-conference slate. They're going to be tested for sure. I just do not have confidence in Southern Miss this season. I think Louisiana is going to perform better, and I think they're going to end up getting that crucial win there at home, because I do not think you are beating Troy in Week 12. That's a very talented team, and again, another favor that I could see going on to win the Sun Belt Conference. Hey, they did it last year. They can do it again this year. A lot of returning pieces there. They could absolutely do it. And then University of Louisiana Monroe, that's a game I think you could highlight in green. Not a team that I think is going to be very good in the Sun Belt Conference this season. Again, the in-state rival of the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns, which leads me to a record projection of 6-6. So I do not see the ceiling as this team being any higher than that. I think this is a Louisiana team that has a pretty tight range. I think it'll be a fringe bowl game type team, and there are a lot of swing games on this schedule. Again, Buffalo and Southern Miss. Good news for the Cajuns, though. They get them both at home, and I see the Ragin' Cajuns going back to a bowl game. So that'll do it for me. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always, Remember to play hard but tailgate harder. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.